Hear me out now. Turn it up loud. Coach Delson, Coach Butts. We gon' break it all down. Hear me out.
Welcome back to Hear Me Out with Elzy and Butts. I am, of course, Butts, and we are ready for another episode. Let's dive in.
I'm Elzy. Let's dive in. Man, Coach, we have so many topics to cover today, but hear me out. We always are fan favorites because I was out and about and people were talking about some of our episodes. I think we're gaining a little traction, Coach.
Let's get it. I'm ready for it.
All right. So you and I were having this discussion as we're talking about wills and trust and estates. We got to be better as people, making sure that we have those things in place.
100%. I think as a community of Black people, white people, it doesn't really matter. I think you have to have your affairs in order. It cuts down on a lot of drama. Should anything go wrong, none of us want to leave here, but the truth is we're all going to at some point, right? And so you have to be prepared for that.
And just to let the people know, you are over prepared.
Well, I'm fairly prepared.
Over prepared. But you know what? I'm not mad about it. Hear me out, listeners. This is how prepared she is. I have a stack of papers, literally. And we went to the same lady for our estate and will. And so when I walked back in the office, the lady was going over everything with me. And for you all that know Coach Butts, this will make sense. So the lady was reading off the papers to me and she goes, I think your best friend is nervous if you have to bury her first. So I laugh and she goes, she gave me a specific outfit in which she wants to be buried in, down to her hair, how she wants her hands crossed. And all I could do was laugh. And she goes, I think she's worried that you might put her in a dress.
Listen, I don't want any foolishness, right? So I'm trying to make life better for you, right? I want to make sure that you understand and everybody else involved understands I've made all the decisions for you. Just
Clearly.
sit back, bury me, and let's move on.
Clearly. I'm not mad about it, but it totally fits your personality. So hear me out, listeners. Are you that detailed when it comes to your affairs? Or did you just give general information? So while we're on that topic, it really made me think. And I was sitting on the porch and I have everything finished. And I walk in and I ask my husband, Dexter, for you guys that do not know, where he wants to be buried. And I had asked him maybe a year ago, and I don't know that he gave me a specific answer. So it popped in my mind. So I just walked in the house and I go, where do you want to be buried? And literally, he crosses his arms. He was like, are you about to kill me right now? Am I dying?
I mean, these are good questions.
These are great questions, but I didn't lead with anything. I just needed to know. And he goes, I haven't thought about it. And I go, well, this is something we need to discuss because, I'm a country girl, as you guys know, LaGrange, Kentucky, born and raised. And the cemetery is literally between PNC Bank and Dairy Queen. And that's where my family's all buried. And so I go, I want to go home. Like I want to go to my family plot. And so he goes, that's something we need to discuss. So hear me out, listeners. Have you discussed that with your family, your significant others, where you want to be buried, why? And if you're married, do you think the husband should have the final say of your resting place? Coach Buzz, what are some of your thoughts?
Ooh-wee. That's interesting. I think it's definitely a group decision, right? Two people have to decide. Anytime you start saying the husband or the man or the woman in some cases gets the final. Anytime you talk about final say, it gets a little tricky, right? So that's interesting. Man, I think two people have to talk. In my case, I don't really have that issue right now because I'm not attached to anyone. But if you are, I just think it's definitely a discussion. But I think the final person that's in a couple situation, if you are the remaining spouse, I think you can do whatever you want to do because the other one will not know.
Well, let's take that a little bit further because they will not know. However, he has his own will and trust. So if something shall happen to him first, I have to follow, his wishes and what he wants to do. But we're still discussing
I think it's very
because
interesting, and that I don't want to cut you off, but I think that is so intriguing. I wonder what people who are married, who are couples, in those cases when it's very different. If he says, I want to be buried in my hometown, you say, I want to be buried in your hometown.
yeah.
Well, how do you come together on that? Or is it, we don't have to be together in death? Maybe you get buried in your hometown and I get buried in mine.
Yeah, it's something we're still working through. But I was working on, like, I need to get the plots. So I want to go ahead and purchase the plots. But his family, they have their own cemetery.
Good luck, coach.
Well, if you all have any advice, hear me out, listeners, viewers. If y'all have any advice, please weigh in on this topic because it's something that if you have not discussed with your family, you need to. And I encourage all of you all, get your business affairs in order. I think we as a people in the Black culture, we do not do a great job of that. And we have to be better for the ones that we leave behind.
100% agree.
And while we're talking about culture things, May was Mental Health Awareness Month, but I want to take a deep dive into mental health. It's been so prevalent lately. A lot of stresses and pressures of the world, jobs, families, you name it. Everybody has something, right? And I feel like our culture, specifically speaking, therapy has such a stigma on it. And, as I've gotten older, I have had my battles with depression. And as you know, seasonal depression, I do not like rain, cold, gray. It puts me in a place.
I know if you're watching, right? If the viewers who are actually watching us do the podcast, they can see my face and they see me smiling. Mental health is not a laughing matter. However, I'm smiling because when she says she has seasonal depression and just moods, when it's raining, because that's the first thing I'm doing. If I wake up and it's cloudy or it's raining, I am dialing. Either calling on the phone or texting. I'm just checking. It's a welfare check because I know as soon as there's an overcast, oh man, it changes, your mood dramatically. Me, I'm the same. Luckily, I don't deal with that, but millions of people deal with seasonal depression and just overall depression. And it's something that we must get a handle on. We must acknowledge, and we have to get help. And in our communities as well, a lot of us are faith-based people, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you're going to have to do more than pray things away. You have to get professional help. I mean, a lot of us grew up in the church and grew up, just pray about it and do all those things. Sure, 100%. If you are a person of faith, you do that. You're going to pray about these things, but you also have to get the help that you need.
Absolutely. And to the Hear Me Out viewers, do any of you all have seasonal depression? And if you have seasonal depression, what are some of the things that you do to help you cope with that? See, for me, I have battled depression, and then I just have seasonal depression. And therapy is my best friend. I love my therapist. She is on speed dial for me. And I'm so sad to say I've had the same therapist since 2012. She just retired this year. And I sent her a text message and I said, I hope you're enjoying retirement, but I don't know that I'm going to find another therapist like you. And I truly mean that, because if you have been to therapy or you're going to therapy or you've had a therapist that you love, the thought of starting over to me is so daunting that I'm without a therapist right now, because it took me a while to find her. So when you're looking for therapists, it has to be someone you trust, someone you connect with, someone you align with. But therapy, a lot of people are scared to go because it forces you to pull back the layers of vulnerability or traumatic experiences that have happened to you and actually deal with them. And let me say this, nothing has to be wrong for you to go to therapy either. You can just clear your mind and have clarity over your day to day.
Right. And I think sometimes people, just like anything else, you want to be comfortable. And so, to your point, and finding a therapist that you really, really liked and understanding what it's going to take to find someone else that you can get that level of comfortability with and be able to speak and kind of open up freely. I think a lot of people deal with the fact that, you know what, I don't want to tell them this because I'm not comfortable with them. Maybe they don't look like them, maybe they don't sound like them, but I think for people to understand how helpful it can be, sometimes you just have to do it, right? And you have to put yourself in a situation that you can better yourself and heal, for lack of a better word.
Absolutely. And sometimes therapy is not, they're necessarily always giving you coping mechanisms. It might just be you need to get it off your chest. You don't need to keep it buried. You have to just say it, and move. So when I think about therapists, I need someone that I'm comfortable with. But truly, I don't know if I'm going to find another therapist as good as she was. But I am on a hunt and I'm looking, because for me, mental health, my mind must be right for me to be able to be a better mom, a better wife, a better friend. And I know a lot of people can relate to that. And one of the things that my therapist talks to me about a lot is self-care. And what are you doing for self-care? And so for me, self-care is big. I must do that to be the best version of myself. And then in the house, as you know, I do not like dark. I will get in here and paint all of the walls. I'll have an orange wall. I will have a yellow wall. I will have bright colors to lighten the mood. I like light. I open up the windows. I open up the shades. I cannot be stuck in the dark. But maybe it's part of my zodiac sign.
Interesting.
I'm a Leo, ruler of the sun, fire. So we have to have light. So those are some of the things that I do. But we would love to hear about you guys and what you all do. Have you found a therapist, and how do you cope? And what are some of your life skills that you do every day to help you maintain? But while we're on mental health, you and I both are in sport or have a background in sport. right now, mental health across sport. Wow.
It's
Um, and
there's a
we had our
lot going on.
days. There's a lot going on. And just think about when we played, the different pressures without social media, without being able to talk about mental health. Now you have people on campus, which we did as well, helping with mental health, and it's full. And so let's put a pin in this. Let's talk about mental health across sport. What are some things you're seeing or hearing? And how can we help some of the student athletes in that space right now navigate?
I think one thing is to pay attention, right? As coaches, you have access a lot of times, but sometimes all of the access is honestly, you don't know as much as you think you know, right? They do a really good job of hiding as much as they're on social media and as much as they're showing themselves to the world. And we talked about this previously. What people are putting out is often not what they're feeling or not what they're experiencing. So you have to really pay attention. And so as a coach, you have this access. And sometimes if it seems off, I think you have to, number one, have a good enough relationship with your player or players to be able to have that candid conversation, that honest, that open conversation and say, hey, I'm just checking on you. You have to be able to do that, and that student athlete feel comfortable enough to share what may or may not be going on with them, because so many of them just will not share it because they're just not comfortable. Sometimes it's stuff at home, sometimes it's a parent, sometimes it's a friend, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or whoever that maybe they're having issues with, and different things that are affecting the way in their performance. Sometimes it's their performance. I mean, they are under the microscope so much. Some of it is wanted, right? Some
Right.
of it is unwanted. When it's great, it's all love. We want the posts, right? We want the clicks. Everybody's calling in, hey, I want to see a clip of my kid, or my kid, is requesting, why don't you put me on social media? I want to be on social media. And they're doing all these things, but when it goes wrong,
Yeah.
when it goes bad, nobody wants the attention. And I think that's the problem we've kind of created as a society, where no, you're putting it out. Now it's out. Everybody's seeing it. So everybody's commenting on how you're doing and why you're doing it. And when it's not favorable comments, that's when the issues come in. And it can be really, really tough mentally and emotionally for a lot of people, not just kids, professional athletes as well.
Absolutely. And I think I'll piggyback off what you were saying. It is about the relationships. And as coaches, I challenge myself and all other coaches or people that are working with younger athletes or students, whatever the case may be, what they say and do not say, you must focus on. And having a great relationship where they can share, and then being able to decipher with, okay, they have entrusted me with this information, and what should I do with it? Because
Absolutely.
some is maybe you and I can have a conversation and we talk through it, and I'll keep checking on you. And then there's other things that they may share that you're like, yes, this is above my pay grade. I am not equipped to handle these type of situations. And it's a tough situation as a coach or whoever you're working with, not to be able to break their trust and confidence in you, but still be able to get them the help that they need. I laugh. I thought I was going to work at the Wild World of Sports in Disney, and I ended up getting a psychology degree. And literally 26 years later, I do think for the profession that I'm in, it's the best degree for me, because coaching, you use psychology every day,
Absolutely.
whether it's performance based, whether it's mental health. That is a big part of this profession.
100%. I think we're kind of both in that same. It was your major, my minor, and my major was social work, at least undergrad, and then you're taking all of the things in the school, the tools and the skills that you learned, and you are definitely applying them
Absolutely.
daily.
Absolutely. And it is a must daily. But I also think, we talk about social media, but I think you hit on it, performance based. For athletes, whether you had social media or not, we didn't have social media. The pressure to perform in front of people, also to meet the expectations you have for yourself, your family, your friends, your coaches, it's a lot of pressure. And even though you grow up doing it, but as you move up, the pressure also becomes more intense. And I feel like us being former athletes, you know, your whole persona is wrapped around you being an athlete. So my mood for that day might be, how did I perform in practice? Did that weigh me down when I left practice? Am I still worried about it? What coach said to me? What a teammate said? Am I disappointed? How did I perform in the game on national television? And your whole identity, because you are into your craft, sometimes that becomes who you are.
100%. And when it's wrapped up in that, and that's in your mind, you're viewing people are only giving me value based on how well I'm doing. Not because it's true, but that's because that's what you think. And in some cases, it may be true, right? Some people are, hey, what have you done for me lately? How much are you doing, right? Are you performing at the level we need you? However, sometimes we created this in our head, and you think your value, that's your only value. And when that is your thought process, it becomes really difficult when things don't go well. And that's when you have to be able to either have people that are right there that can recognize that and help you get out of that. And then sometimes, like you said, you don't have the credentials sometimes.
Absolutely.
To help people, which is vital. I think it's so important for people to be qualified in what they are doing. There is no way I will sit with someone and pretend like I can help them in certain situations when I know that I can't. And I think that's a problem.
Yeah. And a lot of times we talk about student athletes' mental health. Let's listen. Does anybody ever ask about the coach's mental health?
Coach, you said something.
Woo,
you said something.
That's a mouthful, right? Because we must check on each other as coaches, not just your staff or your team, but your friends in the business. We better do a welfare check.
Absolutely.
So let's pause here. Mental health for coaches, because you're pouring, you're giving, whether you're a head coach or assistant coach, the pressure for you to perform as well, and also keep yourself afloat mentally while giving others. So, what are some advice that you would give as you've taken a pause in coaching, a step back? What are some advice that you would give to the coaches in the business or people that want to get in the business, high school, middle school, college, whatever it is?
I think for me, it would be always, it goes back to your self-care. Regardless of what's going on, you're going to have the scouts, right? You're going to have practice. You're going to have the workouts. You're going to have to do those things regardless. Get your job done, but you also have to set aside time for you. Whether that's whatever you enjoy, if that's sitting down on your back porch with a book, and reading for 20, 25 minutes or something, if that's watching a movie, if that's watching some type of show, you have to do things that are going to check you out mentally of what you're doing for your career and your profession. That's going to help you. And also, don't get so caught up and wrapped up in the result, right? The winning and the getting the kid, and that you lose who you are. You lose your character. And because it's such a cutthroat business and people are so tied up in, I have to do well, I have to perform, that they start doing things that are not good. You know, you talk about other programs poorly in a negative way because you feel like, I got to say what I have to say to get this kid. Number one, I never did that. I never did that. But a lot of people, I've seen a lot of relationships go south because of recruiting. And then that in turn turns to play on you mentally, because now you're involved in your friendships. You get involved in the talk of, man, I was so close with this person, or I can't believe they said that. I thought I knew them better than that. And it starts to play with how you think about things and how they're going. And so I think all of that stuff ties into your mental health and how you approach your day-to-day life. But I also just find some reprieve. Whatever it is you like, you have to be able to do that so that you can get away.
Yeah. Well, coaches are so emotionally invested, right? One, you have a responsibility.
100%.
As a head coach, as an assistant coach, it doesn't matter. You have a responsibility. You know, people have entrusted you with their child. So there is a responsibility there. So that's an emotional toll in itself. And then, whether we like it or not, it's hard to not get wrapped up in the wins and losses and signing the top recruits when your livelihood depends on it. So that's another pressure in itself. But, you know, you're going into year 26 for me. If I could go back and tell my younger self, even in all those moments in the pressure field, it's what we do and what we're accustomed to. I wish I would have taken more time
Yes.
to enjoy the small things, the small victories, because they do matter. And yes, we're caught up in what have you done now? What have you done lately? Yes, we have just won a huge game and we celebrated all of 5 minutes and then we're ready for the next, because that is how the business works. But I do think you can take time to smell the roses, to enjoy the moment, and have fun with it. Early in the career, you know, you're trying to move up, you're trying to win, you're trying to do all these things. I wish I would have enjoyed it more. And I can say, you know, since getting to Duke, after the Kentucky learning process and being let go, you know, I think year 24 and 25, it was pressure filled. It was stressed. It was still all the things. But I found myself taking a step back to enjoy the coaches, the staff, the support staff, the players, because you only have that team and that group of people for that period of time, and it'll never be the same. So I think I've enjoyed it more. And I don't know, it's because I'm getting closer to the end. I mean, I still have some years left, but when we started at 22, I couldn't see the end.
Right.
Now, year 26, I still have some time left, but I can see the end.
Right.
And so I think my perspective is different. Even with all the pressure going on, I have found myself taking the time to sit back and enjoy it more. But also, like you said, finding things outside of basketball. And so I encourage our student athletes to do that as well, whether it's reading, going to church, finding people and activities outside of basketball is healthy.
I think those are all valid points, 100%.
Yeah. And so while we're still in the mental health and in a vulnerability state, hear me out, listeners. What season of life stretched you the most emotionally? Yeah.
Wow.
Put some thought to that, Coach. And what do you think?
What season? Wow. Man, I'm always being stretched. I think probably, and it's going to sound strange.
Oh,
gonna
you have
sound
me
strange.
intrigued. You have me intrigued.
Right in that retirement season, that time when I retired and was able to reflect on things, both good and bad, right? And so I think that was a stretch. That's a time that probably stretched me the most.
So obviously you learned a lot because it stretched you. So now that you've had time, you've had a season to step away. What would be your 3 takeaways after being stretched emotionally?
First takeaway: always, always, always breathe. Just breathe.
Yeah.
And by that, I just simply mean things are going to be what they're going to be. Mm-hmm. Some of these are going to be tough things. Some of these are going to be easy things. Some of these are going to be really good things. But at the end of the day, they're going to be there no matter how you respond emotionally or mentally. And
Absolutely.
figuring out how to deal with those things is what's super important. And you can't do that if you're just caught up in what's going on at the moment. So just take some time and breathe.
Yeah.
And just breathe and catch your breath and then deal with those things. The second thing would probably be take more time, to your point, to just feel the air on your face, so to speak. Take some time to take it in. And I really try to do that anyway, and I try to do that, but I think I could have done that more. Just taking it all in, understanding where you are, what you have been given, what you are experiencing. These things are happening to you and for you, right? Even if they're bad, they're happening for you so that you can learn, you can grow, and taking that in. So that time, feeling that wind on your face. And then the third takeaway from me: you are never as great as you thought you were, and you certainly were never as bad as you thought you were. And notice, I didn't say anything about what anybody else thought.
What you thought.
What I personally thought. And so for me, those would probably be the 3.
I have a couple of seasons.
Something told me you might have a few.
I have a couple of seasons. However, I would probably say my second stint at Kentucky probably stretched me the most emotionally for several reasons, not just the basketball aspect of it. But now that I've had time to reflect, like you, it's probably made me a much better person, mom, friend. And now I've had so many takeaways that I will be better for my next in all aspects. So let's rewind for a second. I know you lived it with me, but emotionally, the second stint. So, obviously, coach got sick. He stepped away from the job. I had a chance to step into a role that that I knew at some point that I would become a head coach, but I did not see it coming that way. But let's just enlighten the viewers on some of the things that I was dealing with. And like I said, a lot of people think it was just basketball,
Right.
but we are real people with real lives, right?
Right.
So I think we've mentioned this before on the podcast. So when I took over, I was the interim head coach. So that's pressure in itself to be like, okay, well, every day is an audition, from practice to speaking to games. It's an audition if you're even going to get the job. But,
Right,
I kind of
right.
put that out at the back of my mind, like, okay, it is what it is. We have a responsibility to these players to give them the best year of their life, no matter what happens. And that's kind of how I approached it. So in the middle of being the interim and trying to audition for the athletic director and everyone else that was watching, living in a fishbowl, Dexter and I had tried to have a baby. And surprise, God works in mysterious ways. So right before I was named the interim, I also realized that I had missed my cycle. So I needed to come in your office. I thought I was fatigued and tired
Well, you were.
because of all the other things going on. And God just works in mysterious ways. Surprise, we were getting ready to head to Kansas State. Surprise, pregnant. You remember you brought like
I bought
3
multiple tests.
pregnancy tests. Surprise. So I called our doctor and I was like, you are not going to believe this. We're pregnant on our own with no IVF treatment. He was stunned as I was. So he says, you need to come to my office immediately and you need to be under no stress.
Well, that's interesting because that's not necessarily possible, but
Yes. So
it was in order.
it was in order. So he was like, no stress. So we get on a bus to go to Kansas State. Now, meanwhile, I thought I was going to audition all year, and I received a phone call to see if my portfolio and everything was ready so I could have a meeting with Mr. Barnhart, who is the athletic director at Kentucky. Now we're leaving, getting ready for a game. Daniel Boyce and I had already been working on it, but we're literally flying to Manhattan, Kansas, updating my portfolio, changing out pictures, writing all the philosophies, getting ready for a game. Win the game.
D-Money. Shout out to D-Money.
Shout out to D Money. Man, he has picked us up a lot of times. But my man and I were listening in the wee hours of the morning to gospel, updating all of the portfolio. We send it back to Dexter to get it bound and ready. As we're talking about the game and the scout, we win the game by the grace. Thank you, Lord. We get back.
For the one time.
We get back. I'm thinking I'm going in to a meeting to talk to him about I don't know what, because my mind was thinking he was going to meet with me to the end of the year to interviewing for the job. Right then, right there. So it just goes to show you, you never know when your time's going to be. So a takeaway, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Indeed.
And also, you just never know when the blessings in your life are going to be, and it might not be how you plan them to be. And obviously, we went on for 4 years. 2 years, we had great. And then 2 years, it was rough. And I just got back from a leadership conference, and it was just talking about, the ebbs of flow of sitting in that seat. Lonely, stress. It comes with a lot of great things. It comes with a lot of not so great things. But, it was in that season that I go back and reflect during my 4 years of sitting in the seat. It was not things that we could ask people. It was the NIL was just coming around. The transfer portal hit. Obviously, the Black Lives Matter movement, the George Floyd, all of the things, COVID.
A lot of things going on.
COVID. So all of the things that at the time, survival mode for us, right? Just trying to figure it out and do the best that we could do. But now looking back, all of those are lessons. And all the things in between that I did not share, losing the baby, having a former assistant, rob us blind. So we were dealing with so much on and off the court, which is okay.
That's a personal assistant, by the way, not a basketball assistant.
Not a basketball assistant, a personal assistant. Yeah. Correct. But all of those things, now looking back, that I had to navigate with you guys and we navigated together, it's prepared me. I feel like after that experience, even being let go, it sucked. It was an emotional toll. But now, looking back, it was probably the biggest learning lesson that I needed, because now I am unbothered. There is nothing that people can do to me that will rock me. I am equipped now because of that experience for my next, whether it's when I sit in the seat again, whether it's being an assistant now, whether it's friendship. I told you the other day, I left all of my grace in Lexington. I have no time. I have no filter. I am unbothered, and I am going to do it the way that I want to do it. So now when I sit in the seat for the next, I know exactly what I want, how I want to do it, who I want to do it with, and how I will operate from those experiences. So sometimes the message is in here. You need those lessons. Even though it is a gut punch, it is depressing, it is maddening, sometimes you have to have those things in those seasons in life to be better.
I think you are and will be uniquely qualified for your next position. I mean, it is, you're absolutely right. It depends on how you look at things. It's all about perspective. It's tough, it's hard, but you learn, and
absolutely,
you don't lose that opportunity. You learn from that opportunity, and it's going to put you in a better place. And one of the things I would like to add is overthinking. Once I had a chance to step back, and you kind of got to look, overthinking. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't overthink it. Typically, especially sitting in that seat, you want to evaluate your situation, right? You want to, where is everything? I want to weigh everything out. But once you make your decisions, whether they be on the court or off the court, make them.
Make them.
Don't overthink them. And typically, the type of person you are, your character, you mean well, you want to do right by people, those things are going to show in the decisions that you make.
Absolutely.
And trust that.
Absolutely. So for any of the coaches out there, if you're going through a season, there's going to be tough seasons. There's going to be winning seasons. We had a lot of great times at Kentucky and won and had a historical run, all the things, a number one player. So we had some great things as well. But if you're in a tough season right now, whether it's basketball, whether it's life, take time to learn, reflect, and how can it make you better for the future. Well, it's time for our 94 feet. We're not going to do rapid fire today because there's a lot of things going on in basketball that I know you want to weigh in on. Let's talk coming up, if it's past, players being able to play for 5 years. Obviously, now the age will matter because once you graduate, your clock starts, or you turn a certain age, your clock starts. So now the 5 years will come into play. What do you think about that in general? And how do you think coaches will change their recruiting tactics?
Well, number one, what I think about it, I think it'll be good. I don't dislike it at all. I think what it's going to do for those parents and coaches who've advised kids to, all right, we're just going to hold them back, right? We're going to hold them back so they become the biggest, the best, the strongest, the fastest, whether it's football or basketball. You have to really think about that now. Because if your clock is going to start at a certain age, that holding the kid back 2 years, 3 years, that's not a good strategy anymore, right? And so I think you'll start to see that come into play a little bit. But I like it because now you think about some of the teams, you got people 26 years old, 25 years old, 24. These are grown people. And I know a lot of our student athletes like to say that they're grown, and they're young adults, right?
Young adults.
But 18-year-old, a 19-year-old mentality, level of maturity, mental toughness, all of those are a lot different than a 25-year-old, 24-year-old. And so I think it's going to be a good thing overall for everybody. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and I'll weigh in. I think it's going to be a good thing. I do think, it will affect the high school student athlete. Because as a college coach right now, it's like you must win right now.
Yes.
You must win right now. Not that high school players won't get recruited. These are just my opinions. But I do think if I'm a head coach sitting in that seat, you're going to take the top high school players that can make an immediate impact. But if you can go get another college player with experience, that's what you do. But I think the 5 years, because sometimes people get hurt and, they have the waivers and there's different variables to the waivers. I think it cuts down. It's more black and white. So I do think it's a good thing. But now, as we're showing our age in the business, as you think about it now, when we first got in the business of recruiting versus now.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Let's just talk. So for all my old heads in the business, you all will appreciate some of this. So let's just go back. They've changed the recruiting calendar. So many things have changed over 25 years. But do you remember when we would go on the road, we would leave on July the 1st?
Yes.
And not come home until August the 1st.
It doesn't even matter what you say next. Yes. My answer is yes, I remember, because it was such a traumatizing time because you knew you weren't coming back until the end of the month. Period.
I mean, now thinking about that,
in the Key Bridge Marriott, I can remember it like it was yesterday.
Yes, but now thinking about that, like now it's broke up in by month on the weekends, and I can't even think about leaving on July 1st and coming home on August 1st. Now, Am I older? Yes. And married with a child, all those things. But I mean, we were young and single, so it didn't matter, but wow. And wait, what about we could go out with the AAU coaches
Yes.
after we're all just hanging out
You can talk to
after
them.
the games,
How
talk
about
to
the
them.
lines that we used to have, right? Lining up.
Well,
talking to
lining
the
up,
coaches.
but we could go to dinner with them. What about having to stand in line to fax at the hotel
Writing those notes, right?
and writing the notes?
Oh my gosh. Up all hours of the night, waiting for the brackets to be filled so you can do the schedule on a grid, right? That you drew out, made the grid.
Yes.
The technology wasn't
And
nearly what it
even
is
if you
now.
type the grid, trying to figure out who won, who lost. Oh, but wait. Oh man, we're really showing our age. What about MapQuests? When we had to print them all out and then it would tell you the directions. I still don't know how I got around,
Yes.
but we made it. I still don't know.
Talking to somebody else about this. If you could get a car with Hertz and get never lost, you were in there. If your school would pay for that in their budget to get the navigation system, but you were absolutely printing out maps, 100%, and you're flipping. Oh man, DC. I did not like going to DC because it was so difficult to get around. You're trying to get to American, you're trying to get to all of these places, and by the time you get there with traffic and turning those pages in MapQuest, you're either getting the game at halftime, or perhaps the game doesn't even start at all for the next hour, but you need to see the next game at another facility. It was just, man.
And if your luggage got lost, you were and delayed to the next city, because I don't remember just carrying bags on because you were going to be gone for the month, so you would check the bag. I never will forget. I was at Kansas at the time, and my luggage got stuck somewhere, and it was like 2 days, and I literally had to wash the Western Kentucky or the Kansas shirt that I had on in the sink, and I went to the Dollar General and got socks, toiletries, undergarments, and put my shirt right back on. And I bought a pair of white shorts.
No, coach, we're not going to skip over this. Wait, time out. And I want a full time out. I think you misspoke. You went to the Dollar General and you got your toiletries, right? Your deodorant, your lotions, all of those things.
All of those things.
But you didn't get your underwear from the Dollar General, though.
I did.
Right?
I did. And socks. And a pair of white shorts.
Okay. Hey,
Listen,
shout out to Dollar General.
it takes what it takes. But my job was to get to the gym. And I was clean. All of the items came from the Dollar General. But that's okay. It literally took probably 2 days to get my bag. But that's okay.
What did they say
I was
back
clean.
in the day? If you like it, I love it.
If you like it, I love it. So what are some other things, if for my old coaches, hear me out, listeners, what are some things that have changed in your job or your profession over the last 25 years? We want to hear from you guys. And the last thing, on the 94 feet, I was looking at a picture of Coach Summit earlier today. What are some of Coach Summit's favorite sayings in practice? And for all our former Lady Vols, you know you played for Coach Summit if she said these things to you. If you can give me 3, Coach Butts, former Lady Vols, we would love to hear from you as well.
3 things? I don't have anything. She just looked at me. I got the stare, but there was no smile. It was just the eyes. She said an awful lot with the look.
Yeah.
For me. Now, I'm sure you had some words that she said, but rebound was always being said. Just screaming rebound. Because
Yes.
Again, you have to do
let's
that if you're
update
going to play in
our
Tennessee.
listeners and viewers. So in our practice, there was no such thing as talking back to coach or the coaches. So if a coach in practice gave you a compliment, you would say,
2 points.
correct. If coach or the coaches gave you constructive feedback, you would say,
Rebound.
I think our freshman year, we said rebound a lot, but that's okay.
Freshman year,
But,
freshman year, I was
well,
saying
a lot of
rebound
years.
2, 3 years after. I'd see her and just rebound, coach. I
Rebound
don't know
coach.
what I did, but rebound.
But one of the times I just remember, she said a lot all the time to me, plus the stare. But I still will never forget this. I got beat to the middle, and another player got beat to the middle too. So I was, we keep score, that tit for tat, which drives me crazy now as a coach. But, as a player, you do it in your head or out loud or whatever. And I kind of gave her the look like, "Ugh, this chick just got beat as well." But,
You were keeping score.
I was keeping score, and it was our freshman year. And she was pointed up at the camera because, they would shoot at the top of Thompson Bowling. And she was like, "Elzy, I've been coaching longer than you've been living." I was like, touche, you have. I can appreciate that. But Coach had so many things. But for our Hear Me Out, what are some of the things that your boss says to you in practice at your workplace? Or coaches, what are some things that you've heard from your coach or coaching staff? Or what are some of the things you say as a coach? I laugh because players really, you say them now as a coach in practice, and by the time you leave practice or a game, they have left you. And it's so funny when you talk to your players, former or current, they can tell you all the things that you say in practice because, they get back in the locker room and laugh just like we did. And so I saw a former player on the road not too long ago, and we were laughing about things. And she goes, "I love when you say, I got nothing but time. I got all day, but I got nothing but time. We gonna get it right." And she and I just laughed. So it makes you really cognitive of the things you say because they store them and can keep them. And as a coach, we say it in the moment and it leaves us.
Oh, they are definitely using them as weapons. They will come back on you. They're making a video. They're talking about it with the team. They're laughing at us in the locker room for sure, 100%.
But we did that same thing, so that's the fun. Well, in closing today, let's leave people better than we found them. So to our Hear Me Out listeners, what's one piece of encouragement that people need right now? Coach Butts, what would you like to leave the people with?
I think for me, it would be you are enough. You are enough wherever you are, whatever you're doing, how hard you are trying, whatever that is, whether that's work, with family, you are enough, and understanding where you need to be better and really put forth the effort to do that.
I like it. I'm going to try that this week. I think the one piece of advice that I would like to leave our listeners with is lean in wherever you are. Lean in to the hard, to the good, to the sad, wherever you are, lean in and take time this week to pour into someone, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a note, whether it's paying for a stranger to have coffee. Pour into someone. You never know what people are going through.
You know what? To that point, I think it is very important that we try to, even if it's once a week, I try to do it once a day when I'm in contact with people, but give someone an unsolicited compliment. You would be surprised how much that would brighten that person's day. They would carry that on for the next week, months, years sometimes. Giving someone, a complete stranger, you don't even have to know them, walking up to someone and being your word is being intentional about making someone else's day. Give someone an unsolicited compliment and watch their expression on their faces.
I like it. Make sure you do that. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Hear Me Out. Please like, subscribe, share, listen, pass it along. We'll see you next time. What's up?
Hear me out. Hear me out. Ooh, real talk, we don't play around. Hit that play. Let the truth come.